20th chapter, some of your Bibles, it says the 10 Commandments. Let's look at something interesting. Let's look at verse 8. It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy or set apart. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Master Yahuwah, your Almighty. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Master Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Master Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Thank you, my Father, my King, for your correction. So we see this here when he says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, to keep it set apart. We see work attached to this Sabbath. Now that you all see that, this is the one that many of you are boasting that you keep. Even though many of you do not even own certain animals as far as donkeys. Some of you do, some of you do not. Some of you do not even have what is known as servants. So let's go back to the eternal Sabbath. What you're looking at here, see, what a lot of us don't understand, that it was more than one Sabbath. You're looking at this one that is instituted pertaining to work. But what we're going to look at, what I find our King's wisdom, is the eternal Sabbath that many of you do not keep, that many of you have forgotten. Go back to Exodus, the 16th chapter, and let's look at the eternal Sabbath. Those are my brothers out there, the Tanakh only brothers. I love you and respect you. I don't respect certain things that you are doing. But understand that there's something you have missed. Exodus, the 16th chapter. Let's start at verse 1, please. It says, and they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is beyond Elim and Sinai, or Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month, after their departing out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses, or Masha, and Aaron in the wilderness. So we see our ancestors once again, just like how we are today. They're not getting along, they complain. Listen, my brothers and sisters. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to the Almighty we had died by the hand of the Master Yahuwah in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots and when we did eat bread to the full. For you have brought us forth unto this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Pay attention to that, because they were hungry. You see this? But our Heavenly Father is going to do something here. Verse 4. Then said the Master Yahuwah unto Masha, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you. Stop. Thank you, my Father, my King. See, this is what a lot of us are missing. For those of you who do not believe in the Messiah, you better be very careful. Because your Torah speaks of bread from heaven. You see what our Father and our King was trying to do? In our lower state, he's going to give us something eternal. But our ancestors was looking at physical food. Food that was going to only last them for a moment. But our Father and our King is trying to get us to see something. Listen again. Verse 4 again. Then said the Master Yahuwah unto Masha, or Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no. Do you see this? You see, he's doing something before he instituted the Sabbath day pertaining to work. This is what he's going to do to prove them before he even spoke from the mountain. Listen, verse 5. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day, listen now, on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in. And it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moshe and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel at even, then you shall know that the Master Yahuwah hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. So this Sabbath day is connected with Egypt now. Listen. Verse 7. And in the morning then you shall see the glory or the majesty of the Master Yahuwah. For that he heareth your murmurings against the Master Yahuwah. And what are we that you murmur against us? See, they was murmuring against our Heavenly Father. Even though they venting to Moshe and Aaron, they really speaking against our Father and his Son, the bread. Listen. And Moshe said, this shall be when the Master Yahuwah shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For that the Master Yahuwah hears your murmurings which you murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Master Yahuwah. Did you all catch that? Our masters in their wisdom. Plural. Our Heavenly Father and his Son together. In their wisdom. They're going to give them. Listen now. They asked for flesh to eat. He's going to give them that, but he's going to give them bread from heaven. Verse 9. And Moshe spoke unto Aaron, say unto all the congregation of the children of Yisrael, come near before the Master Yahuwah, for he hath heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Yisrael, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Master Yahuwah appeared in the cloud. Listen, my family. And the Master Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Yisrael. Speak unto them, saying, at even you shall have, or you shall eat flesh. And in the morning you shall be filled with bread, and you shall know that I am the Master Yahuwah, your Almighty. So see what he's doing, he's testing them. He's giving them what they desire. Do you see this? They desire flesh to eat. They were reminiscing about a certain type of food they were eating in Egypt, or Mitzrayim. But he is going to prove them by giving them something eternal. You see this, my family? He's going to give them one set of food in the evening and one set of food in the morning. It's to prove them. Listen. Verse 13. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew, you see this? And in the morning the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost on the ground. See, this is something that a lot of you people who say you follow the Torah, you're missing. Because this is something that you cannot do on your Sabbath days. How many of you are receiving something, a certain bread coming from heaven, that you're supposed to gather every day, and then twice a day before the Sabbath day? Do you see this? Verse 15. And when the children of Yisrael saw it, they said one to another, it is manna. Now, I believe in your Masoretic text, it will say manhu. And in the Septuagint, I believe it is transliterated man. So basically what they're saying is, they're basically saying manna or manhu is basically saying, what is this? They didn't know what they were eating. Do you see this, my family? This is a revelation. This is a mystery here. Something that many of you in your carnal Sabbath days, in your synagogues, you cannot do this. You're making a mockery of our Heavenly Father. Not only are you making a mockery of the eternal food, you're making a mockery of the eternal rest and the eternal drink. Do you understand? And you're going to find out. I find like he's going to reveal it to you. Listen, my family. Verse 15 again. And when the children of Yisrael saw it, they said one to another, it is manna. For they wist not, or they knew not, what it was. And Moshe said unto them, this is the bread which the Master Yahuwah hath given you to eat. This is the thing which the Master Yahuwah hath commanded. Listen. Since all you say you're keeping his commandments, listen what he told our ancestors. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer of every man according to the number of your persons. Take you every man for them which are in his tents. And the children of Yisrael did so, and gathered some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moshe said, let no man leave of it till the morning. Listen. Notwithstanding they hearkened, or they listened not unto Moshe, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was wroth, or angry with them. So they still, our ancestors still were disobedient. They still couldn't follow instructions. What they were doing, they were wasting. They was not taking the manna as precious. This is what they did to our Messiah. Do you understand? They didn't value him when he came. I'm telling you, my brothers out there, those Tanakh brothers, I love you. You better listen carefully. Because many of you saying that you follow the Torah and you're keeping the Sabbath days, all you talking about that? Are you keeping this Sabbath? This was before the law was given, as far as when our Heavenly Father spoke it. So we see one Sabbath pertaining to work and to remember it. And we see this Sabbath day that was given to prove them, to where they was to gather and to feed off this eternal bread. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, my Father, my King, for your wisdom. Verse 21. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said unto them, thank you, my Father, my King, for the correction. This is that which the Master Yahuwah have said. Listen carefully, all my Sabbath keepers out there. He says, tomorrow is the rest of the holy or the set apart Sabbath unto the Master Yahuwah. Bake that which you will bake today. And listen, and seed that you will seed. And that which remain over laid up for you to be kept until the morning. You see this? And they laid it up till the morning, as Moshe bade or asked. And it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moshe said, eat that today, for the day is a Sabbath unto the Master Yahuwah. Today ye should not find it in the field. You see this? They were to eat and take in this mystery, this eternal bread, this eternal food that was to sustain them beyond the food that they desired of this world. How many of you are eating the eternal bread? My family. Listen. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. Can you see the revelation? How one Sabbath day that they were to remember was pertaining to work as far as labor is concerned. This here pertaining to them gathering and receiving this eternal bread. And they were to rest on this particular Sabbath. Do you see this? And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. You see this? This is powerful. Listen. And the Master Yahuwah said unto Moshe, how long refuse you to keep my commandments and my laws? It was to prove our ancestors. How many of you are keeping this Sabbath day? Many of you will say, and you are correct, according to the letter of the law, you cannot keep it. Because our Heavenly Father has ceased the manna from coming down in this particular context. But there is a greater manna that he has already sent that many of you are rejecting. Just like how our ancestors did when he came. When the true manna, when the manhu came, the man as it's translated in the Septuagint, when this mystery came, this particular man came, the one that they were saying, prove to us you're the Messiah, they could not receive him. Can you see him here in your Torah? Don't sit here and tell me that this manna is Israel. Or the nation of Israel. Don't tell me that. This is something that goes beyond flesh and blood. Listen, my family. Verse 29. See, for that the Master Yahweh hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he give you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide you every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rest on the 7th day. And the house of Yasrael called the name thereof manna. And it was like a coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. This was a certain Sabbath or Sabbath day they were keeping before, as far as we know as the 10 Commandments. My brothers and sisters, we need to all wake up. Now let's quickly go here to Numbers. Numbers, the 21st chapter. Let's look at this. Start at verse 1. It says, and when King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed unto the Master Yahweh and said, if you will indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Master Yahweh listened to the voice of Yisrael and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. Amazing how our Father and our King, in their integrity, when we called out to them in sincerity, they answered us. And they gave us victory. Verse 4, and they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spoke against the Almighty. Look at them. Look at our ancestors. And against Moshe. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And our soul loaf this light bread. You know what they did? You listen, my brothers. They cursed the manna. They hated it. They despised it. This was fulfilled in our Messiah. They hated him. And let's look what happened when they despised this manna. Just like many of you are doing it. Listen. And the Master Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people. And they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. You see that? Why did our Father respond this way, if this was just mere bread? Therefore the people came to Moshe and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Master Yahweh, and against you. Pray unto the Master Yahweh that he would take away the serpents from us. And Moshe prayed for the people. And the Master Yahweh said unto Moshe, now listen, thank you, my Father, my King. Many of you, if you saw Moshe, and if Moshe did this, many of you would have called Moshe an idolater. If you're looking at the Torah just face value, many of you would have hissed at him. Our Father said, do not make any image. We understand that. But let's see what he says here. And the Master Yahweh said unto Moshe, make you a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he look upon it, shall live. Why would our Heavenly Father tell Moshe, our ancestors, to do this? See, this verse here, because of us misrepresenting our Father and our King, it gives atheists grounds to contradict or say that the scriptures contradict themselves when they do not. If we can understand what this brass serpent is, maybe we can be free and saved for real. Don't sit here, my brothers, and tell me that this brass serpent represents Israel. Don't do that. You'll embarrass yourself, brothers. But it does represent someone who you were rejecting. And Masha made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. That's powerful, isn't it? And we know later on in the history of the scriptures, our ancestors begin to take their mind off the spiritual representation of the serpent of the brass. And they begin to worship the brass serpent. And we see that in the scriptures. You can find that. But why did our Heavenly Father command Masha to do this? My brothers and my sisters. We have to come to the revelation of the eternal food, the eternal drink, and the eternal rest. That's the only way we can be saved. Do you see this? Because our Heavenly Father is an eternal being. And so to understand His eternal word, we need to have His eternal spirit. Thank you, my Father, my King. You're dealing with something eternal. Even though we're reading these letters that are written on this book, you all have to understand this is much deeper than flesh. And for the sake of my Father, my King, I don't mind being called crazy. You can call me any name you want. Those of you who are out there. Does not matter. They did it to our ancestors in the ancient of times, the ancient of days. They called the Messiah himself crazy. Do you understand? It comes with the territory. Thank you so much, my Father, my King. Let's go to Numbers. Let's go back to Numbers, the 20th chapter. Let's look at something. Okay. Let's look at the spiritual drink. Now we know our ancestors were murmuring. They were thirsty. And let's look at something interesting. Let's look at verse 7. It says here, and the Master Yahweh was spoken to Moshe, saying, take the rod, gather you the assembly together, you and Aaron, your brother. Speak you unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water. And you shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So you shall give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moshe took the rod from before the Master Yahweh as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them, hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moshe lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drunk, and their beasts also. This was a mistake of our ancestor. He's a great man, the great prophet Moshe. But he was so frustrated with our ancestors, he made an error. You see this? Instead of honoring our Father. You see this? He did the opposite. And it cost him where he could not enter in. This should let us know that our Father, He's no respecter of persons when it comes to sin. If we sin against Him, all you leaders out there, if we not represent Him the right way, if we not honoring Him and His Son amongst the congregation, you will pay the penalty. We will pay the penalty. Verse 12, and the Master Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and Aaron, because you believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. You see this? They was to receive the eternal drink, and they did that. But they did not allow the eternal drink to be esteemed during this point. Our Heavenly Father forgave Moshe and Aaron. But the penalty still had to be paid. You see this, my family? Let's look at something very interesting. Let's go to Jeremiah, or as they say, Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. And let's look at just one verse. And if you're led, you can all read the whole chapter to get the whole clarity. But just to read you the revelation of our Father and our King being the eternal dream. Look at Jeremiah, or Jeremiah, the 17th chapter. And look at verse 13. Just one verse here. It says, "O Master Yahuwah, the hope of Yasrael, all that forsake you shall be ashamed. And they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken the Master Yahuwah, the fountain of living waters." You see this? We forsake him. You remember the woman at the well, when Yahushua spoke to her about living water. And she desired the living water. See, a lot of you, my brothers, just because they may be certain aspects of the New Testament that may not match up, you have to go beyond this English translation. Even if you have to go back to our English predecessors, where certain words were changed, you have to go back and get on your knees and pray and ask our Father King to guide you before you make an error. Do you see this, my family? I just thank you, my Father, my King. Listen to this. And as our Father and our King lead, if they do allow a continuation, it will be so. Let's look at 1 Corinthians. Now let's go to the New Testament quickly. Look at 1 Corinthians. Let's look at Shaul here. 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. And let's look at this. It says, "Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized into Mashiach in the cloud and the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ of the Messiah." As they lead me to continue on this teaching of the eternal food and drink and rest, it'll be done. I love you and I hope you grow, my family.